I'm Kurt Arns with Nebraska Farmer and Penton Agriculture, and I'm here today at the live cattle handling demonstrations at Husker Harvest Days. We're here with longtime Lexington, Nebraska veterinarian and the MC and entertainer and narrator extraordinaire of the live cattle handling for a couple of years. I think now it's 27 years.
27.
Dr. Joe Jeffrey from Lexington. Dr. Joe, can you tell us just a little bit about how the cattle handling equipment has changed over the last 27 years, or maybe throughout your career as a veterinarian?
Well, Kurt, I'll tell you, when I got out of veterinary college, 1960, that's what, 55 years ago, we didn't have hydraulics, and we had chutes that had a bar across the front. And when the cattle hit it, they stopped them, then they brought the bar down over their head. We choked so many cattle down. Today's chutes are so much safer. They've spent thousands and thousands of dollars developing and designing chutes that are animal safe. Not only do we want those critters to come out of there safe, we want to be able to restrain them. And those old chutes that we had, I hate to mention their names, but some of them, because they're probably some of them still around, but they were cow killers. But by golly, now when you can put a critter in there, once we get the critters restrained, and they just quit fighting right away. And these new chutes, whether they're hydraulic or manual, once we get them in there and you squeeze them down, basically they give up, and then we can go with our process, our vaccinations, our implantations, or preg checking, whatever we do. The new chutes are so much better, safer for both man and beast.
Right, and that's important too. I mean, with people handling more cattle these days and running a lot more through, the safety of the operator is a big deal, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I've done vet work since, well, for 55 years, and I've carried people to the hospital. I've got guys with broken arms, and those old chutes, those levers would come loose. I've watched one guy get knocked cold in a cucumber. I've just seen a lot of damage, but the new chutes are so much safer for the livestock and the operator. It's got to be.
You've had a lot of good crowds at the cattle handling this year at Husker Harvest Days, and it's kind of been that way. It's one of the more popular demonstrations. Can you tell us just a little bit about how that all got started? I understand it had something to do with your kitchen table.
That's right, Kurt. I was in about, what would it be, about 27 years ago. A young man named Tim Talbot was working for Big Valley, which was a manufacturing company in Lexington, Nebraska. They came out and they said, nobody's looking at our stuff. Can you help us draw a crowd? I said, well, maybe we ought to work cattle. And he said, well, no, we've tried that. So we sat there and had a cup of coffee, and I said, well, what if we would line up about 4 or 5 different kinds of chutes? He said, oh, no, that won't happen. I said, well, have you ever asked them? So finally, we had the nerve and the foresight. Tim got 3 chutes the first year, a Big Valley, a Palco, and a Lynn Manufacturing. So 3 guys showed up, and the first show was almost a complete, total disaster. We about killed the first critter. When the first critter got up after he'd been choked down, he cleaned out the whole area. There wasn't a single one of us left back there. One of the chutes was kind of upset, so we had a disaster. But I said, we need to show people these side-by-side comparison, because if I have my chute sitting in one block and your chute sitting a block away, I really can't compare. But, well, let's put them together. And this show, we've had to turn down chutes because so many people went in this chute. Well, since this one, Farm Progress has done it. Up in South Dakota, we've done it. I've done it in Oklahoma, North Carolina, Mississippi. We've been all over. Set these chutes up side by side and let the cattle. But what we really need when we have a good demonstration, these chutes are big. They're designed for bigger cattle. If we could have cattle weighing about 600 to 800 pounds, that's the ideal. Mm-hmm. We have had little ones. We've had some 1,000-pounders in there. Well, those you don't want 1,000-pounders, and they want out. So, but it's been a lot of fun to have different sized cattle. One day they ran a hog in on me. One day they brought in a sheep and a goat, and yeah, they've done some nasty tricks to me. But overall, for the last few years, we've had a lot of fun giving this show.
Right. Throughout your career as a veterinarian and as a cattleman, you've seen critters of all kinds of temperaments, I'm sure. Would you have some tips for ranchers and cattle producers as they deal with animals to be safe and safe for the animal and for themselves? What would you give as far as some tips for them?
Number one tip is have good equipment. That's bar good alleyways, good equipment, no more metal or no more bridge planks sticking in there where they get slivers in them like that, and handle the cattle as quietly as possible. A lot of guys will get their whips and their hot shots out, and I said, fellas, you really don't need that unless it's the very last second. But these alleyways now are covered, they're blind. If you have just one opening for a cow, years ago when I was a veterinarian in Lexington, a guy had loaded all his cattle out of a barn. I said, why is that? He says, there's only one white spot. There's an open door in that barn. And those cattle could see nothing but that white open door. He loaded cattle so easy, it's unbelievable. But we need to have the ranchers and the livestock owners These livestock are so valuable right now. My golly, I think I sold 5 bull calves here not too long ago, and the check was over $10,000 for 5 calves. I said I better sell the whole herd. Well, if I did, Uncle Sam would get them, so I kept those cows. But we need to protect our cattle from any bruises, and that's why we've even changed the vaccination procedures. We vaccinate now in the neck region only. No more in the muscle, no more in the hind leg. And I've seen guys shoot the cows just if they could hit them, they were tickled. I said, guys, don't do that. The vaccines are designed for up in the front. So the chutes have been designed to catch and stretch that neck out. There's the neck region, or the doors behind the head. Perfect spot.
Right. Yep. Well, we're here at Husker Harvest Days at Live Cattle Handling with Dr. Joe Jeffrey. Thanks, Dr. Joe.
You're more than welcome, and come again.
We will.
All right.